What's happening, guys? Alright, so today I've got something a little different for you. As you can see, these are a few micro-scale starships I designed recently, and I wanted to show them to you guys. I know this isn't my usual thing on this channel, but I've always loved space-themed sci-fi shows since I was a kid, like Star Wars and Star Trek and stuff like that. And I've always been fascinated with the ships in this series, so I just figured I might try to design a few myself and just, see how that goes. So I did these in a relatively small scale because I'd like to eventually do larger kinds of ships like capital ships and frigates and things like that. And, doing micro scale for something the size of, like, let's say like a Star Destroyer or something similar is going to end up being pretty big even at this scale. So I wanted to be able to make everything from fighters all the way up to big boy ships and have them all basically scale together. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, so I'm gonna start with this little guy here and work my way up to the larger models. So this is basically a simple fighter design I came up with. It's technically on the larger size of a ship of this kind when compared to the other two ships I built, but I think it works pretty well. The model is very simple overall, but it's pretty sleek for its size, and I really like how the wings look. They've got a very aggressive feel to them. So actually, the wings here fold up and down like so, which wasn't actually an intended design choice. It just kind of happened as I was building it, and it just worked. So it's kind of a cool feature. If you put the wings all the way up or down the other way, it could make it easier to store multiple fighters inside of a fighter bay or something like that. As far as armaments go, there's really not a whole lot going on here. As you can see on the front here, there's these openings, and I kind of like to imagine maybe those are for cannons or torpedo bays. I'm not really sure which one makes more sense here, so I guess I'll just leave that to your imagination to decide which one you guys like better. Alright, so moving on. Here we have a bomber/transport design. As you can see, the ship is significantly larger than the fighter here by quite a bit. And most of that size is coming from these large quad engines on the back of the ship here. Obviously, I wanted to convey that the ship is supposed to be really, really fast, so I wanted the engines to reflect that. This design was heavily inspired by the Y-Wing from Star Wars, and it has that distinctive Y shape to the build. I just wanted to make something that wasn't quite as flat though, and it looked a little beefier, and I think this came out pretty nice. Alright, so moving on, this is definitely the biggest of the three. This is somewhere in the size range of a gunboat or a Corvette. I'm not really sure which. So I didn't really have a goal when designing this ship. It was basically just birthed from trial and error, but as you can see, it has a very heavy militaristic look to its design. The main hull is basically split into two parts that's connected by all this greebling and all these conduit bits you see here. So as you can see on the top here, we got the large bridge or main observation deck, whichever one you prefer. And then on the bottom, a smaller observation deck right here on the very nose of the ship. So as far as armaments go, this thing's pretty decked out. Starting at the top here, you got two anti-fighter cannons. Also have two more on the bottom here to protect it from underside attacks. On the tip of the wings, you have 3 larger cannons, and then on the very front of the ship, on either side, you have 2 more larger cannons. The ship's main weapon here is kind of hidden a little bit, but it's this big guy right here in the very front of the ship. And I kind of like to imagine that's something like an ion cannon. Actually, it's kind of funny. The gun lines up perfectly with the rear main engine in the back, and that wasn't an intended design choice. It just kind of turned out that way when building it. So I kind of like to imagine that, you know, maybe to use this large cannon on the front, the main engine's power has to be diverted to it. So this ship, if it wants to use that cannon, can't move or can't use its main engine when using this weapon. Seems like a fair trade-off for mobility versus firepower. Alright guys, well that's about all I have for you today. I just thought I would share these with you and see what you guys think. You know, if this is something you're interested in, let me know down in the comments. Like I said before, I know this isn't the type of thing I usually make on this channel, so if you like these designs, I'll probably post more ships in the future. Also, if you guys would be interested in tutorials for these, I can do that as well. Just let me know. Anyways, thanks for watching. Later.